Eddie Abbew, thank you so much for joining me here at the Warwick
That's okay.
Boar. It's been an absolute pleasure having you at Warwick, I must say. I just wanted to thank you before we start for making the trip all the way up here. I know from London it's a long trip, it's a long way up, but thank you so much for coming up. Your event raised over £600
That's really good. That's really,
for
really good.
charity, which
Yes,
is
yes.
really, really positive. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
And yeah, looking forward to the interview. So my first question is
Yes.
actually more of a why why Warwick? Because you've been invited by many different news outlets from the likes of LBC, the Daily Mail, to sort of talk about nutrition and talk about the things that you're interested in and the things that you preach. Yet you've always seemed to turn them down. So I just wanted to ask, why are you going down the university route? Why Warwick? And why Warwick Student Newspaper?
Okay. So I think you I you you have to understand why I'm doing this in the first place. You see, I think a lot of people think that, oh, I'm doing it for clicks. I'm doing it to get. That was the last thing on my mind that they am following on social media. my my team, my daughters, that you need to reach more people because I was helping quite a lot of people. That I was doing it one on one, and basically I've not changed what I'm doing. Just that we're doing it online and reaching more people. You see, but the problem is, you see, the mainstream, all these like GB News, Good Morning and Sky, they want to. It's like a phenomenon. It's oh, let's just see what this Eddie's abuse about. I'm on a mission to educate the young, especially the students, because I own a gym and I see a lot of students coming in. They got sporty faces. They're tired. They can see they're apathetic. They generally low mood. And I know that I wasn't like that when I was a student, and so because of what they were eating, and I know nobody's telling them. So my mission is to educate the youth. That's why I'd go to Eton College rather than go on, Sky TV. That's why I come to Warwick University rather than, go on, let's say, um, BBC, whatever. In saying that, on Wednesday we got a BBC extra interview, haven't we?
Yeah, yeah.
BBC, is it, which one is it?
BBC One Extra, yeah.
BBC One Extra. We got an interview with them.
Young demographic.
Young demographic, just trying to reach. Like I went to Capital One Extra as well. I'm trying to reach the younger. You guys don't know any different.
Hmm.
That's my mission. That's why I came to Warwick University. Plus, I was invited there, obviously.
Absolutely. Well, as I say, thank you so much for making the trip up. It's
I
been
enjoyed it. It was
absolutely
good.
amazing.
Yeah, reception was
Um,
good.
you often say that you want to educate the young, educate people my sort of age, and you've really sort of taken it upon yourself to do that. You've built such a great, huge following on social media. Um, but I suppose more broadly, what would you like to see from the education system as a whole to improve the diets of young people?
You see, the education system is not ready for any of this. The demand has to come from you guys. You see, if you leave it to them, they'll be like, oh, just let's make better sandwiches. No, that's not what you need to study. If you want to study, if you want your brain to work properly, you eat proper food. Food that actually are good for you as human beings. Sandwiches are not. So basically, what it's if we educate the youth, you guys from the grassroots, you're the ones who are going to say to them, you know what, I feel better when I eat this food. Can we just try and get this? Because the revolt will come from the masses rather than, go to the top. They don't care. They just do anything to shut you guys out. But if you're eating, when you went to eating college, they were one of the reasons why they called me is because they were a few of the boys had been eating what I'd asked them to eat, and they were feeling sharp mentally. They were feeling better mentally, no more tiredness. So yeah, that's why when you start feeling good. So my mission is to get you guys to demand the right foods to be served in the other institutions. You see, so that's why I want to reach you guys directly, and it's working.
Absolutely.
It's working. Yes.
You faced a lot of criticism by people in the fitness industry who often claim Eddie Abbew doesn't know what he's talking about. He's all for attention, all this kind of thing. I just wanted to ask about your time as a psychiatric nurse and your time at the NHS and some of the things that you saw during that period of your life and some of the things you had to deal with during that moment.
How old are you?
I'm 20.
Okay, so when I was your age, I was a student nurse, and the work was just diabolical. You're cleaning shit because the NHS. You see, when even though I was supposed to be training, it was you do this is a training on the job. It's like an apprenticeship, so they pay you
Mm,
the salary. But when you're going into the ward, you're a hand just like all the other staff because you've only got 4 nurses and 40 patients. So the training was very brutal. And when you went to the school of nursing, that was different. We learned, but the food is the same. At least back in the day, we had a bit. And actually, the food I think has got worse. But if somebody who's got psychiatric problems, anxiety, depression, and all that, the last thing you feed them really is junk food. So, and I knew at that time some of them would eat, and straight away it affect their behavior. But I couldn't say anything because nobody made the connection between the gut brain axis. So I just leave it. Get up in the morning, feed them um, tea with sugar in it, cornflakes, put sugar on the cornflakes, and they'll eat it. And then straight away they'll play up. The ones that played up, they were given injections to calm them down. And the other ones who just fall asleep. And I knew that's not what I wanted to do. So that's why I pulled out. But yeah, nothing has changed. I've seen some crazy things, especially in psychiatric nursing. And I think now that when I think back, I know most of what's wrong with my patients is because of what they were eating. You can see it. Sometimes the
mm.
effects were immediate, but nobody back in the 90s was making the connection, you see?
Absolutely. Speaking of food and dieting and stuff like that. I don't know how in the loop you are with this, but this is a little fact for you.
Yeah.
Warwick is one of many UK universities to have passed a recent motion that will see all student union owned food outlets become fully plant-based by 2027.
You what?
In a in a few words, how do you react to that?
That's fucking stupid. That's fucking stupid. What plant based?
Yep, fully vegan.
No, that's just okay. So that's because we're giving into social, like it's all plant based. That's all nonsense. We are animal eaters. No one is going to convince me any different. I've tried plant based diet. I did my homework. I've tried to get the right stuff to eat, and I felt shit. I felt like lethargic. My mind was not functioning as well, and so I switched to animal. That's ridiculous. Plant based. That's made me that's actually made me angry because that's nonsense. That's just nonsense. But then does that mean you can eat whatever you want also? It's not like, no, you're not going to be forced to eat plant-based. What if they saw you eating, let's say, a steak? Nothing would happen, obviously. You're not going to get trouble.
No, no, I think what it is, it's so I don't know how familiar you are with like the food outlet system at Warwick, but you have
No.
students' union like owned food outlets. So like Pret, for instance, wouldn't fall under that. But you'd
Okay.
essentially the students' union food outlets are like offered at a discounted rate for students,
Yes.
essentially. So
Yeah.
you would, in essence, be left with a setup that by 2027, the sort of subsidized food outlets would be fully vegan, and the commercial food outlets like Pret would be the only sort of food outlets that offer non-vegan food on
That,
campus,
that it
essentially.
should be the other way around. Really should be the other way around. You should be eating animal. Okay, if Um, I don't know why that is going to be, but obviously you can eat whatever you want. That's the main thing. As long as it's not, let's just turn everybody vegan or plant based. That's never going to work because you're not. I don't think that your brain actually even functions properly when you're eating just plant based protein or meat food. And you asked me a question. You asked me how do I deal with the hate and the animosity on social media.
Mm.
I'm 6 years old. I don't care. Like you get to a point when you realize, you see, they don't realize that the more they engage on my pages, the more the algorithm sort of spreads my. So it's all about engagement. so I don't actually care. Sometimes I deliberately make create some kind of a that kind of feedback. It's all social media, isn't it? It works. But yeah, I'm a bit surprised about the plant-based thing. That's just making sense. It's crazy.
Um, as I said, I wasn't sure how familiar you were with like Warwick's food setup. Through speaking to a few students, am I right in saying that Roots grocery store has come up at some point? Is that a store that is familiar to you?
I know. I've never even been there, but we're told almost all the students were telling us about Roots and how pricey it was and how whatever. What exactly? It's like a mini minima.
Yeah, so it's like a little convenient. It's like
Yeah.
the cooperative. It
11.
sells
Yeah,
mostly
yeah,
co-op food, but a lot of it, you see a lot of students going in there with like meal deals and stuff like that,
yeah.
stuff that I'm sure is not Eddie approved whatsoever. And that store actually, the board did an article on it, has actually won like two awards back to back, like the food to go awards. So I just wanted to see how you'd react to that
What
because a lot
what
of
what
students have said how they feel about it to you.
what kind of award? Is it a national award? Is it in the school?
Yeah,
What kind
it's
of
a
award?
genuine national award, like convenience. It's essentially like convenience store of the year. I don't quite know the bracket, but yeah, I thought it'd be interesting to see what you thought about that.
Obviously, I've never been there, but I mean, if you're selling meal deal and they are not just eggs, steaks, chicken, like proper single ingredient foods, and you're selling energy drinks, you shouldn't be winning any award. And you're selling all these sandwiches that are made by, was it recently that a few sandwiches have been called because of E. coli and all that?
Absolutely.
And whenever I see something like that, I say, um, serves you right to the people who are buying that shit. Make your own fucking. If you only eat a sandwich, how long does it take to make a sandwich? Take it to work with you. At least you know what's in it. These things, the sandwiches that you buy, they're not healthy. They cannot be healthy for you. And I've seen a sandwich making factory that people working there don't give a shit. Putting their nose, put in their sandwich, they don't give a shit. And I just think that we should make our own food. So nobody should be winning any award for meal to go.
You mentioned at Warwick that you were in the process of writing a new book. I
Yes,
just
yes, yes.
wanted to ask what people can expect from that.
I have lived a very colorful life. I've lived in different countries. I won a scholarship when I was like 14, 15 years old, and I've been out of Ghana since then. And I from where I came from, the poverty to what's happened to me, I think it's something that somebody might want to read. So that's one of the books, and we're gonna. I think if you there's a few pictures out there about writing a book about lifestyle and the kind of. So yeah, expect I want to write my own autobiography first because I think it'd be interesting. I think you might want to read it because, especially if you're going through a hardship at this time, you realize that it's not forever, stuff like that. Just to motivate and encourage people, you see.
Absolutely. Well, it's definitely something I'll be reading. As I say, I've been
Oh,
a
thank
big
you.
follower of yours, so it's
I'm
been
one
a
customer, yes.
pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure, Eddie. Just before we wrap up, are there any final words that you have to any of our viewers, any of our readers, and Warwick students more generally?
The, all I say to the students is this: just keep investigating to find the foods that make you feel the best. Because I've done that, and I've done that with a lot of my clients. And now I know that eggs make me feel good. When I eat red meat, makes me feel good. And so just investigate because nobody's going to tell you that this part of your life is not. It's your responsibility because our medical health professionals are trained to treat your symptoms. So to preventing them in the future. If you got up in the morning, somebody says, "Have you got friends who say, oh, no, I've got this IBS and all of that?" And I'm saying most of it is coming from what you're eating. So investigate and find out how you can heal yourself because the body is designed to heal itself, especially when you're that young. Your cells can regenerate like just like that if you feed the right nutrients. So go for it. Investigate. All the information is out there.
Fantastic. Well, that's absolutely amazing, Eddie. Thank you so much for the
Look,
advice. I'm
listen,
sure
take care, yeah?
many
Take
Warwick
care.
students will take it on board. Thank you very
Absolutely.
much.
Bye bye.